This is Bryant Rousseau with National Underwriter. While at the 2011 RIMS conference in Vancouver, we sat down with top executives from a number of leading firms, including Hank Watkins, president of Lloyd's North America, Tim McAuliffe, president of Specialty Casualty for Ironshore, and Rudy Flunger, chief marketing officer for Swiss Re's Corporate Solutions. Our first question was on the always popular topic of pricing.
There's been some localized firming in the property markets around areas of the world that have had catastrophes recently, New Zealand, Japan, but in the U.S. it's been relatively benign. The recent tornadoes, of course, are an exception, but whether that leads ultimately to firming of property rates in the U.S. remains to be seen.
In terms of pricing, we've seen it certainly moderate to be low single digit on the negative side to positive single digits on the other side of it. In terms of specific product lines, certainly energy and transportation seem to be areas where the market is tightening a little bit as capacity starts to leave those spaces.
What you definitely see right now is there are claims everywhere. So loss activity is there. What that will do is sharpen the focus on exposures and make sure that the exposures are appropriately priced. That's also nicely seen right now with the adjustment on the modeling of the Gulf of Mexico from RMS. I think that's just reflecting also to some degree that the exposure is taking into consideration in the right way in just coming up with the right price for an account.
We then asked these executives what sets their firms apart from the competition.
Financial stability is number one. Close behind is the fact that we've always been a creative and innovative marketplace. Anybody in this business will tell you that if you've got an especially challenging risk to place, Lloyd's is a great place to go and talk to the underwriters, because in that underwriting room you have three levels of underwriting boxes, 85 syndicate underwriters in there. They see risks from all over the world every day, and there's not a risk that they haven't seen at one point in their careers.
We're very selective about the accounts that we actually assign our capital to. Last year we saw 20,000 submissions across the year, and we quoted about 2,000 of those, and we ended up writing about 750. We're just being very careful about where we want to attach and where we get on risk.
We can offer large net capacities, and we are not dependent on what are our retrocessioners, our reinsurers doing. That actually should give us quite some good position towards our clients in having stability and also having a good time to marketing.
Is there a category of emerging risk that you're finding people bringing to Lloyd's more often?
Well, digital risk is a perfect example. That's something that we're all familiar with. It's almost that termites in the wall challenge. We all potentially have them. We just don't know when that's going to cause a problem to our structure. Digital risk faces all of us, and Lloyd's has a number of syndicates that specialize in identifying those risks and writing bespoke, we write custom policies around those for clients. Solar flares, problems out there could cause mass disruptions in communications around the world, and you don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow or next year or in a century.
You're writing those policies?
We're not writing the coverage yet, but Lloyd's is in the forefront of identifying what the challenges are. That's a good question, Brian. We pride ourselves on being out in front in identifying emerging risks. We may not have an insurance solution right now, but we're talking about the risks so everybody can be on the same page. Microinsurance, now that's not an emerging risk, but that's something that we're doing to basically enable farmers in Africa to buy insurance on their, against weather, for example, on their plots of land that they're working.
Our final question, what are some of the biggest challenges facing underwriters?
Capacity. There's much more capital in this marketplace than we've ever had in the past.
A little bit on the talent and attraction front. Is that an issue you're concerned about, getting the best and the brightest into the insurance industry?
Oh, sure. Although less so than before. I'm very encouraged by all the insurance and risk management schools that we've spent time with, because you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of young students who are actually studying insurance. So they come into our industry, unlike I did a few years ago, with a very good technical understanding of how the industry works, how policies work, how coverages and claims work, things that we didn't necessarily have years ago when a lot of us got in the business. So that's a great leg up. It's very encouraging. And they're actually being educated by brokers, by carriers, by Lloyd's on the beauty of this industry.
You know, the one thing I will say, even across the board on casualty, is that we continue to see severity in the market in terms of the claims. Not so much the frequency, but definitely the severity. And there's a recent case in Virginia against Allergan that I think the jury awarded $212 million in damages. $12 million was compensatory, $200 million was punitive. Most likely that punitive award will be knocked down. But what we've seen over the past number of years is that gets in the newspaper and it gets into people's heads, and as a result, cases that you thought were a different value become much higher, just because those types of numbers are out there.